Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf and I watch the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at Dybantsa, who just had his best game of his BYU career as BYU won on a buzzer beater against Clemson, escaped with a narrow victory after a disastrous first half, but Dybantsa finished with 28 points on 9 of 17 shooting, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 9 rebounds. It was his best all-around game from start to finish. We saw the dynamic shot making, we saw some really high level winning plays, doing the little things, crashing the offensive glass, and finally creating for others at a really high level in a way that his assist numbers do not reflect. Let's dive into the game. We're going to go from start to finish to see how he built on different moves, different aspects, different coverages, and evolved throughout this game to have his best game of his BYU career so far. Welcome to film school. Let's dive in. So right off the bat, we see AJ being a willing passer, seeing the floor better than he has in previous games, and really using his scoring gravity to create for others. So this is their first possession, I believe, of this game. Catches it on the left wing, isolation, common action for him throughout this game, throughout the season, throughout the rest of his career. And just simple straight line drive, goes baseline, trusts his speed, beats his defender to the spot, which then draws the secondary rotation. As Keita's man leaves him, weak side defender who's on Davis here in the corner recognizes that Keita is now wide open under the rim, not wanting to give up a dunk. He rotates down. AJ reads all of that, sees that Davis is wide open in the corner, makes a simple read, kicks it out to him. Open three, doesn't fall, but it's a really good process and just simple decision making from AJ, doing the basic stuff, doing the little stuff, attacking downhill, drawing rotations, kicking to open teammates. So if you're looking at the clock here, you may have guessed that AJ may have had kind of a quiet first half, which is fine, but it leads to a big second half and a lot of really fun stuff later in this video. But this was his first bucket, and it's just super simple. And when you have a bucket getter like this, when you have his combination of athleticism, high release point, size, length, your shooting windows are very different than other people's shooting windows. So it's just a simple rip through, gets one dribble, gets to a spot. And I love the elevation here with how high he gets. He makes sure that at first glance, this looks like a pretty heavily contested jumper. But as we can see, that as Dybantsa is releasing this shot, his eye level is above his defender's hand. So maybe his vision was obscured a little bit on the way up, but since he gets this type of elevation with that high release point, his eye line is above where his defender's hand is. Pretty unobscured. Big time, just nice go-to, simple rip-through pull-up jumper that a lot of guys in this class can't do, but he's not like a lot of guys. And a staple of any Dybantsa game consists of rim pressure, physicality, aggressiveness, and foul drawing. So even though he doesn't get a bucket here, I really like this play because it showcases some of the nuance in his pick and roll creation and ability to get downhill. So as the screen comes, AJ recognizes that the defender's playing at the level and that there's no one occupying the middle of the floor here. So he's trying to get rid of his primary defender. And as the screen gets set, quick little jab step, gets his defender leaning, trying to cheat over that screen. But the drop defender hasn't actually executed drop coverage here. So there's all this space that Dybantsa can now attack into, which he does. And now he has a clear runway. Keita does a nice job of getting a little seal here on the lone rim protector, which causes him to just have to reach in desperately. Catches AJ across the chest. That's one that's probably gonna haunt AJ a little bit. That's one I bet if you asked him, should you have finished that, I would be shocked if he didn't say yes. And it's a layup that he'll finish more times than not. But nice little jab step. First step, explodes into the space, strength to go through the contact, get the shot up. It's a shot he should finish. He will finish more often than not, but he still got the free throws. Now we're going to go back into some of the passing stuff with AJ. And at first glance, you're going to be like, why in why in the world did you include this clip? Because it sets up the next one, and it showcased Clemson not adjusting to stuff throughout the game, which comes up again. So little baseline out of bounds play. Davis goes to set a screen. AJ's defender gets through it. He goes to get the handoff, and this is a little too predetermined of a read from him because the low man, Davis's man, as he circles out, you can see the weak side defenders here doing a really good job of communicating. This guy's telling two to, hey, stay low, stay middle, because they're going to the same spot, so he can kind of deter both of them at the same time, which AJ doesn't quite read. Throws it, really accurate pass right on the money, but the defenders there, they get the foul, and it just sets up this next play. So I promise this isn't a replay. This isn't later in the game. This is the very next inbounds after that foul call. It might look familiar because it's the exact same play. So again, Clemson's lined up, matching up the same way they were before. As the inbound goes in, Davis does a much better job here of making contact on that screen, forcing the switch, and as AJ gets that handoff, we can see that there's no longer that communication between these weak side defenders, and AJ's initial defender circles out with Davis as he relocates to the corner, which frees up the lane for the roller. AJ again puts the pass right on the money, leads his teammate to the rim for the easy dunk, but the fact that BYU ran this play literally back to back is really funny. But also the passing execution and accuracy from AJ is really, really encouraging and something we saw all game. One of my nitpicks and frustrations with Dybantsa all year was that he hasn't really consistently leveraged his scoring gravity to create for others. He did in this game, though, as we can see here. So as he gets the ball off a miss here, or I believe that was an inbound, he just pushes immediately and goes quickly, and we can see what that does to the defense. 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders totally engaged, totally captivated with him, and on his side of the floor now, he recognizes that. He slams on the brakes, recognizes he doesn't have numbers, and resets, allows his teammates to catch up, allows the screen to come, but what that does is it still keeps all 4 of these defenders totally engaged with what he's doing. And AJ's peeking over his shoulder here. He's not flummoxed by the defensive pressure. He's good. But he's keeping an eye on the low man here and how far over in the lane he is. It's a long way, and he sees that Davis is wide open in the corner, so I love that he doesn't waste time and instead just delivers that live dribble, skip pass with his offhand all the way across court, right on the money. Davis isn't the quickest shooter, but NBA shooters, that's probably going up, especially from the corners. But shot fake, attacks the closeout, draws the secondary rotation, kicks it out to Robert Wright, who puts it up, gets the 3. BYU gets 3 points off of this. AJ doesn't get the assist, but they don't get the shot without AJ's scoring gravity, willingness to push early in the offense, and then that skip pass that generated those extra rotations that BYU was able to attack and exploit. And AJ generating shots for others and not getting assists was unfortunately the common theme for BYU and AJ throughout this game. So on the inbound here, late shot clock, Dybantsa gets the handoff, comes off of it, and nothing really develops. Someone may have screwed up their execution or whatever here, but play clock is running low. So Dybantsa's like, all right, screw it. Let's just go attack downhill. As he drives, as what happens on pretty much all of his drives, help rotations come. He recognizes that, all right, Richie Saunders' man has cut me off. My primary defender's right on my shoulder. I got nowhere to go. And I feel like a month ago, we probably see Dybantsa pivot out of this and try and chuck up a mid-range shot late with the clock winding down. But instead, he just plays simple. And I loved the simple decision-making here because he could have easily put up something bad. We've seen him do it a lot this season. Instead, plays simple, pivots back, recognizes where the rotation came from, kicks it out to Richie Saunders, who unfortunately couldn't buy a shot this game. Maybe he was too wide open. Some shooters struggle with that. Who knows? Saunders has been super streaky this year, but that's about as wide open as you're going to get. He can't get it to fall, but a really clean look as the clock is winding down in the first half, all generated from AJ's scoring gravity and ability to get paint touches whenever he wants. Now, as you can see with the scoreboard down here, BYU is getting run out of the gym right now, down 20, couple minutes into the second half, and Dybantsa had yet to really get going from a scoring standpoint, but this is when he kind of decided to flip that switch and get really, really aggressive. So I really like the footwork on this drive, and how aggressive he is just right off the catch. Immediately attacks downhill, receives the pass, no hesitation, just goes. Does a great job of getting pretty deep, getting to the elbow, and then getting incredibly low, which allows him to explode out of that, really elongate his stride, initiate the contact, and he covers a ton of space here. In just these 2 steps, plants that left foot there, a little higher than the elbow, steps through. Look at how low he's getting there, which allows him to explode off that right foot and then plant his left foot here as he goes up for the layup. Remember, the last time his left foot was on the floor was all the way back here. Goes up strong, defenders on their heels, they're reaching, goes up with his arms extended to make sure that contact is obvious, gets the foul call. Really strong, physical, decisive drive by AJ that he can pretty much replicate whenever he wants to. Even though Dybantsa was more aggressive from a scoring standpoint in the second half, his passing reads and willingness to pass and set up teammates didn't diminish, while his offensive rebounding rate and aggressiveness really skyrocketed, and this play was kind of the catalyst that kicked everything off for him. So as Saunders gets the DHO over here on the left wing, Dybantsa's up here in no man's land. He gets the pass from Saunders, goes into this high pick and roll. As he comes off of it, he's trying to kind of bait a foul here a little bit, but doing that low sweep through, arms extended, raking through the defender's arms that we see from NBA guys all the time. No call, ball's loose. Dybantsa doesn't care. Well, and he kind of cares. We'll see him complain a little bit. But he sticks with it and keeps his head up. And that's really encouraging to me that, again, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, I'm not sure he's immediately going after this and immediately kicking out when his team's down 18 points. But he does. He sticks with it, immediately recognizes that Davis is open, kicks out to him. Again, another wide open three that Dybantsa has generated this game. Hands up a little bit, a little perturbed that he didn't get that call, but we play on. And again, instead of just sulking out here on the perimeter, once that shot goes up, we can see Dybantsa lock back in and go to occupy space where no one is. He knows that everyone's down here in the paint. He sees that there's no one over here in that left side dunker spot. Shot goes up. He positions himself to get the loose ball. Keeps his head up, doesn't force anything, doesn't immediately put anything up, but instead keeps his head up, recognizes that Robert Wright's wide open, top of the arc, kicks it out to him, finally gets the assist. Really good activity, floor vision, and just patience throughout this possession. We also saw AJ get a little more aggressive in transition, pushing with a little more pace, both off makes and misses. And let's keep a specific eye on the footwork here, because whenever Dybantsa gets a runway downhill in transition, you know that he's going hard to the rim, which he does here. As he attacks downhill, he knows that the defender's going to set up to take a charge. He knows that he's not going to be able to move with them. He's trying to time up a charge here, and he almost does. But Dybantsa does a great job of, again, planting this left foot and really stretching out, elongating his stride. And look at how much ground he covers there. Plants there, skims off the side of the defender. Right foot is now in the middle, deep in the lane, almost at the restricted arc. And then still has the body control and the strength and the balance to compose himself through the contact, get the shot up, show off his scoring touch, to drop it in, plus the foul. That's really high level Footwork, balance, scoring touch, all in one package, all in one play. Now, this was just a brutal shooting night for BYU, pretty much all around, as they shot just 22% from three. That's rough. But what those missed threes generate is a lot of long rebounds and a lot of offensive rebounding opportunities. And again, BYU's still down by 12 here. It'd be very easy for AJ to just kind of sulk on the wing out here as Robert Wright pulls up from three very early in the shot clock. This isn't necessarily a good shot for a guy who's a questionable shooter. I know he ends up hitting a buzzer beater from this spot, more or less. Spoiler. But it would be very easy for AJ to just stay out here and be like, all right, what are we doing? Instead, as that shot goes up, he's immediately crashing. He recognizes that his man is watching the ball and has his back to him. He crashes hard, beats everyone to the spot, uses his athleticism, grabs the board, and again, I was shocked that he didn't go up, head fake 4 times, try and get Godfrey off his feet, draw a foul. Instead, he fights through the contact, ignores even looking at the rim, and kicks it right back out to Wright, showing the confidence and trust in his teammates, making the right simple play to generate the wide open shot that, again, is a brick. And the passing reads are great. They're really, really important. They're one of my favorite developments in AJ's early season, but sometimes you just got to go get a bucket. This is an area where Dybantsa thrives. He always has. He probably always will. He loves just these power dribbles to the middle of the floor, rising up, and he just goes to work here. Really patient, sets up his defender, waits for that opening to present itself. He recognizes that the help defender's trying to sneak in from the backside, so he knows that he can't spin over his left shoulder here and get a baseline jumper. He may later. A little teaser for you. But he recognizes that helps there. He very easily could kick out to Richie Saunders here, but again, Saunders is having a brutal shooting night. He's kicked out to Saunders and Wright and Davis a dozen times for naught throughout this game. So it's like, all right, let's just try and get to your spot. And when you elevate like that, when you have a high release point like that, it's really tough to defend. And AJ just kind of had to get in a rhythm, and this was a really good way for him to do that. In all of those examples of effort plays and offensive rebounding and off-ball movement and mid-range shot creation and passing that we've seen throughout Dybantsa from this game so far all come to fruition in this singular play. He doesn't get points on this play. He gets a foul, but this was arguably my favorite play of Dybantsa's all night. So as Wright drives middle, Dybantsa initially flashes out to a little above the elbow or a little above the wing here to make himself available. Once he recognizes Wright's going for a step through, he doesn't waste time. He doesn't sulk for not getting the ball. He crashes the glass and goes in and gets it himself. Tips it to himself on the other side. Goes into post-up mode. Couple shot fakes. This one he probably forces, but he just a minute or so ago, we just saw him hit that gorgeous mid-range pull-up from a similar area. Forces this one a little bit, gets blocked from behind, but stays with it. Doesn't force it a second time. Recognizes where the defensive coverage is, where the open man is, and kicks out. Once the shot doesn't go up, which he didn't look super pumped about, like, hey, shoot the ball, my guy. Shoot it. I agree. Put the ball up when you're that wide open. But, again, momentary frustration, get over it, get back in the play, locks back in, circles out, makes himself available for his teammate who just killed his dribble in the lane. And with that relocation and having his momentum coming towards the ball and the defender going away, he's now able to attack downhill, gets the defender leaning one way, gets his hips flipped so they're parallel with the baseline, sends him the wrong way, spins back against that momentum into a secondary defender again, rises up, catches the defender reaching, leaning on the block attempt, draws the foul, almost gets the bucket as well. But I love the constant activity and work rate and desire from Dybantsa throughout this play. All right, so remember this play from earlier? We already covered this, but remember this drive, the drop step, the spin? Remember it? Good, because it sets up this gorgeous move. So this is almost a carbon copy of that play. Different defender, a little different because he initiates it out of a post-up, but that same spin move, drop step, but instead of going to the rim like he did last time, Dybantsa is like a chess master out there with how he creates his mid-range shots, because he'll utilize one move early in a game to get one look, utilize the same thing to get a totally different look, and that's what he does here. So as he goes, he attacks middle and doesn't love what he sees, so he just goes straight into a post up right in the middle of the floor, and then plants that right foot, spins back, plants that left foot, covers a ton of ground, and the defender's expecting him to try and get to the rim, to try and barrel in, draw a foul, do something reckless, because he's already seen him do that. Instead, Dybantsa has the body control, and look at how low he gets with that left knee. My knees hurt just watching that. But that's the kind of balance and power that he has in his lower body, and we can see that right foot all the way extended out here. So left foot above the free throw, or right foot above the free throw line, left foot drop step into the middle of the lane, holds that pivot foot, right foot almost at the restricted arc, sends the defender flying, stays on balance, and just rises up for an absolutely wide open, gorgeous pull-up jumper. Okay, so remember how we walked through this shot a couple minutes ago and how he couldn't spin baseline because that's where the help defender is? Perfect, because it sets up this shot. So Dybantsa eventually gets into basically the same spot, but he tells Davis to clear out, and as we can see, he wants to spin over that left shoulder into that baseline jumper, but right now he can't, because obviously he's not the only guy on this side of the floor. He wants to go post-up mode. He's starting to feel it. So he's telling Davis, hey, get out of here. Get out of my way. Go to the other side of the floor and be useful over there. Davis obliges, and Dybantsa immediately goes into this post-up. So that last clip, we saw Godfrey start to sneak over a little bit, and the weak side defender dropped down on Keita. AJ really quickly recognizes help defense isn't coming here, so he knows he has all this space down on the block to create, and he's positioned himself exactly where he wants to be, on his defender's left shoulder, keeping his defender more inside, not wanting to give that up, because again, the defender a couple minutes ago just saw AJ take a nice little power dribble into the middle of the floor for a wide open jumper, so he's almost anticipating AJ making that same move. Instead, Dybantsa spins over that left shoulder, covers a ton of ground, plants with that left foot, elevates, reorients himself, gets balanced midair, really high release point. When watching live, it looks like the defender gets a late contest here, but as we can see, he doesn't. AJ has a really clean line of sight, perfect balance, perfect shot, all because he's playing chess throughout the game, taking what the defense gives him, knocking down one shot, or creating a shot that looks one way, a couple minutes later, going back to the exact same situation and getting a totally different look. Now, it would be really easy for Dybantsa to have spiraled into just a shot-chucking, shot-hunting mode after some of the shots we just saw him make and create for himself, but he doesn't. I love that he kept playing unselfish and just making the right reads throughout this game. So he gets the post up, and gets the ball on the wing, initiates the post up, and goes to work. As he pounds away here, he senses the help defender coming from that backside, picks up his dribble, jab step like he's going to turn over that shoulder, but knows he's not. He knows that as that defender's coming from the baseline, that means the weak side defender over here is collapsing down on Keita to take away the dunk, which means Richie Saunders is going to be wide open in the corner. He does a great job of pivoting back middle, kicking out to Saunders, wide open yet again. These shots they have to start falling for Saunders eventually, and when they do, BYU's offense is going to be a real problem. But another example of AJ creating a really clean look while still not getting the assist. Some of AJ's sexiest shot creation comes in those post-up and mid-range areas, but some of my favorite stuff of his is just in the early offense when he's just simple, aggressive, and direct. So early offense here, I'm just crossing half court, just a couple seconds have run off the clock. He sees that the rim protector's at the arc, and he's just, you know what, screw it. I'm getting to the rim. I love the handle here, just a little hang dribble, plants that right foot, gets his defender leaning one way, sends him completely the wrong direction, gets low, explodes back towards the middle of the floor, gathers, beats the defender to the spot, draws the foul, has the body control and scoring touch to finish through the contact. This is stuff that he can get to whenever he wants, and it's really simple, really direct, really aggressive. Clemson's bigs had no clue how to play help defense on these AJ post-ups all game. We've seen him get mid-range jumpers in the middle, baseline jumpers spinning over his shoulder, and now we're seeing him create for Keita here. So really similar to those previous two mid-range jumpers on the right block, but as the ball swings, Dybantsa is going to circle through, does a nice job of establishing position, and just goes to work. A little jab step to get his defender leaning one way, and then explodes back middle. So far doesn't love what he sees. He could probably kick out to Saunders here, but again, Saunders hasn't been able to make a shot to save his life, and he's trying to get Keita here because he can see that even though the weak side defender here is rotated down, he's still very eager to get back to Saunders on the perimeter. So as Dybantsa takes that extra dribble into the middle of the lane, it sends the weak side defender towards Saunders, back towards Saunders, just enough. At that same time, AJ is recognizing that Clemson's center here is lost in no man's land. He doesn't know if he should be recovering to Keita, should be spinning, or trying to sneak in from behind and double. He's lost because we've seen Dybantsa in the last couple of minutes take this power dribble, rise up in the mid-range. We've seen him spin back over that left shoulder for a baseline jumper, so he's almost anticipating AJ to spin back there. Instead, AJ takes that extra dribble. This guy's out of position. This guy's recovering back to Saunders in the corner, and AJ just makes a simple play, feeds Keita for the big dunk. Now, these next two clips continue to showcase Clemson's inability to adjust to pretty simple stuff and schemes and actions, as we saw with that baseline out of bounds, as we've seen with AJ's post-ups. But AJ's going to get the ball here in the middle of the floor, and BYU has loaded up the right corner here to empty out basically the entire left side of the floor. By keeping Robert Wright up this high, it ensures that the defender isn't cheating all the way down into the middle of the floor, and it basically simulates an empty corner pick and roll. BYU's just running it from the middle of the floor. So as Keita comes to set this screen, he makes contact. The drop defender is caught in no man's land, and he has no one who's available to rotate down because this guy's he's not trying to leave Robert Wright, totally unintended. That would be a really, really far rotation for him to make. And the center is caught in no man's land, not sure if he's playing at the level, and just a little too slow to react. AJ immediately sees it, that both strong side defenders, they can't leave these guys in the strong side corner. So all of this space, totally unoccupied. AJ floats the ball up perfectly for Keita, who has to do nothing but catch it and slam it home. Now, just about a minute and a half later, we see BYU just run pretty much the exact same thing. As this starts, though, we see that they're in a little bit of a different setup, but the premise is the exact same. So Saunders is going to flare out to this left wing. Robert Wright's in the left corner, but now he's relocating to the right to engage his defender. And realistically, this guy should just be staying in the middle of the lane, recognizing the high pick and roll and taking away the lob threat, but he doesn't. The weak side defender also tags a little more aggressively than we saw in the previous possession, but it's still way too far for him to fully commit to it because that's not his rotation. As Keita rolls, the center, again, caught in no man's land. AJ sees Keita rolling with a free lane, a whole lot of unoccupied airspace, and the lone rim protector is the opposing guard, floats it up. Again, perfect placement over the outstretched hand of the retreating defender. Only where Keita can get it. All he has to do, again, really easy. Make life easy for your bigs. It'll reward you. Put it right where it needs to be. Another big dunk. Then to cap things off for AJ, I mean, who doesn't love a big dunk? And it's just a fun example of his downhill pressure and just how explosive of an athlete he can be, especially off of 2 feet. So high pick and roll, really good screen by Robert Wright here. Clemson is just trying to, disrupt AJ, but AJ's guy can't get through the screen. Whole lot of runway, attacks downhill, beats all of the defenders to the spot, elevates really aggressively off 2 feet, slams it home. Not quite the dagger. Clemson was able to chip back somehow, but a really fun play nonetheless. And just for the heck of it, here's the buzzer beater, because who doesn't love a good buzzer beater? I mean, heck of a time for Robert Wright to make the biggest shot of the night. So where does this leave us with AJ Dybantsa? Because this was by far his best all-around game of his BYU career. He got to the rim, he got to his spots in the mid-range, he knocked down tough jumpers, he used his scoring gravity to create for others. He did the little things like crashing the offensive glass, staying active off ball, not getting overwhelmed with frustrations of not getting foul calls. He was aggressive, decisive, creative, and just really measured. Plain simple can produce stuff like this. And when AJ Dybantsa plays simple, brilliant things tend to happen. The thing is, though, he may have messed up, because now he showed us that this is what he can do. We knew he could. Now he proved it to us. The key is, can he do it every single night? We can afford an off night here and there. They happen. But can this become the norm for Dybantsa? Can he continuously create for his teammates, use his scoring gravity to create for others? Because the more he does that, they're going to start knocking down shots at a higher clip than they have been. And once they do, help defenders are going to be a little more hesitant to double and help on AJ. We saw that in some of his mid-range buckets in this game. And once they start doing that, that means more one-on-one matchups for AJ Dybantsa, which is where he thrives. When we look at the 2026 NBA drafts, AJ Dybantsa constantly gets mentioned as one of the top names, one of the elite prospects in the last however many years. And games like this illustrate exactly why.